Brian, thank you so much for that. We're going to move on. Excuse me. We're going to move on now to Stephan. Head and unmute yourself, please, for Brian Clement. Thank you, Stephan.
Hi, Dr. Brian. Thank you so much for the lecture and the conference. In the lecture, you spoke about a patient that had severe candida overgrowth that was healed naturally. Candida is so hard to get rid of. I was wondering, what was the protocol? Exactly how did he heal himself of that?
Well, let me put it this way. I've never worked with a person who was serious enough to follow through that can't reverse it. Now, that was a most extreme case. I've seen 20 others like that, but it gets pretty extreme when it gets into your brain, into your liver, and to your lungs. And the person is desperate at that point, and they're totally dysfunctional. And by the way, I don't blame the doctor. Even good doctors can make a misdiagnosis on that because they did not study in school what candida was. And so in those cases, not only do we put them in hyperbaric chambers, and when they're capable of exercising, when they're doing that, we put them on condensed oxygen. We give them supplementation with oxygen in it, glutathione that gets the mitochondria within the human cell to activate the energy source. But we also have them vaporized through nebulizers. And so when you're doing all of that, now you get right to the affected areas that go right through the lungs, saturate the plasma of the bloodstream, and start to elevate levels of oxygen. But if you don't stop eating sugar, you'll never get well. I'm going to repeat this a second time. I don't care if it's fruit sugar. I don't care if it's cooked carbohydrates that become sugar. This is the one disease that absolutely is blatantly clear how damaging sugar is. That if you don't cut all sources of sugar off, you cannot get well, even eating the way I'm telling you to eat. That is a fuel for it. I mean, it's like if I were an evil scientist, if I said, how do I make candida grow? I create sugar. That's how bad it is. So that's why most people never get better, because they're still saying, oh, well, Dr. Smith said I can eat apples. Well, Brian Clement, who has seen thousands of people recover from this, tell you no apples, no sugar, no fruit, no carbohydrates, no potatoes, no pasta, no bread. You got to be a saint. And when you're a saint, you can walk on water and you'll get rid of it.
Brian, thank you. Up next, we have Rachel. Rachel, if you'd go ahead and unmute yourself, please, for Brian Clement.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. What's your take on alternative sugars like erythritol or stevia? Because I kind of hear mixed, but I do have a little sweet tooth. So I like to have coffee in the morning.
Sugar that really is an alternative sugar and has nothing to do with sugar is stevia. And the problem with stevia, if you just get the ground up leaf, it tastes horrible. So nobody's going to take it. So our chefs here decades ago went on a global search and found one that they process out the green leaf that gives you the aftertaste that tastes exactly like sugar. It's a liquid. And so I wish I had this. Now, although I'm this big shot health authority today, I'm going to be telling you something that you probably will be surprised about. It took me 35 years to give up sugar. And for 25 of those years, I knew how bad they were. Now, I wasn't eating the typical sugar. I was doing what most of you do. I was eating 5 mangoes at a sitting, 30-pound watermelons, beet juice, carrot juice. It is sugar, people. Xylitol is sugar. Maple syrup is sugar. Honey is sugar. White sugar, sugar. Brown sugar is sugar. Coconut sugar is sugar. Date sugar is sugar. They say sugar in it. You should know it's sugar. In my book, Sweet Disease, and you can see the presentation on the Real Truth About Health's archives, I speak about a study that was done at Princeton University. They were really wise. They looked at the brains with MRIs of full blast heroin addicts. These were like street heroin addicts, street cocaine addicts. And then they compared it to the rest of us, sugar addicts. I'm a sugar addict. I just choose not to eat sugar. So what I see sugar do here on the front line of disorder, after everyone else fails, they show up at Hippocrates, and that's what I'm dealing with. Sugar is implicated with feeding cancers and viruses and mold and yeast and fungus. including Candida. And the truth is, they showed the entire brain lit up when you took any sugar, including fruit sugar. Look at the brilliant work of my colleague and friend, Thomas Seyfried, who at Johns Hopkins, as we speak with my other friend, Dr. George Yu, is doing a study on sugar feeding cancers. This is no longer a hidden secret, people. It's a hidden secret for kumbaya people that are in the 1960s still, not in 2021. We've got to grow, people. We've got to learn. If you cut all those things off, you're on the plant-based living food diet, and you take targeted supplementation and treatments that we're doing, you can reverse that. Once again, I'll repeat for the second time. I've never worked with a person that was sincere and followed through that couldn't reverse it. It's just harder to reverse than many other problems.
Brian, thank you. Up next, we have Jess. Jess, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself, we'd love to have your question for Brian Clement. Hi, Jess.
Yes, hi, thank you for a brilliant lecture, Brian. I love you. Anyhow, two quick questions. A, is your Hippocrates magazine still available? And B, in addition to a live vegan diet, what do you recommend to detoxify from opioids, steroids, and radiation? Side effects include fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, and stomach cramps. Thank you.
Okay, so the Hippocrates magazine has been in publication on a quarterly basis ever since 1980, when Anna Marie and I became directors. It has never stopped. So you can download it from online. We stopped sending as many hard copies out to help the environment. Every one of our supplements, we contribute money to a worldwide campaign to plant 1 trillion trees. And what we know from the scientists, the environmental scientists at Oxford, Cambridge, Stanford, is when we get that accomplished, which we plan on doing in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll slow the hazards of global warming for 20 years. Now we got to clean up the ocean where 75% to 80% of the oxygen comes from and get the diatoms working. So what we do for people who have had addiction beyond food addiction, which all of us seem to have. I mean, I was a flaming food addict. I didn't realize I was an addict. I didn't realize I was eating for substance, not eating for nourishment. I didn't know what nourishment was. And my mom and dad taught me that. Your mom and dad taught you. How does it taste? How does it feel? What's the texture? You know, what's the appearance? Nobody ever said, what's the nutrition? I never knew what nutrition was. Are you filled up? Every single meal when I was a kid. Are you filled up or you're not filled? Eat more if you're not filled up. It was like you were a gas tank or something. So when you go one step more and you're addicted to substances beyond food substances, quote food substances, then we actually use different targeted methodologies. And so our medical team here and our partner, they use certain IVs to dilute, and there's drips that you can do that literally help to take the addictive quality away. You also can regulate blood sugars, which gyrates and makes people want to take alcohol and drugs with proteins. This is the highest protein diet on the planet Earth, Hippocrates diet. So, and how we prove that more than any other way is we train some of the top athletes in the world. So the Williams sisters are both on this program. Before my time, Muhammad Ali won 2 of his fights in this program. And so we regulate blood sugar with these high amino acids that are coming in through the diet alone. And then the use of hyperbaric chambers. And most important, I cannot emphasize this enough. On this campus, we have 28 infrared saunas. Infrared saunas are a necessity at this point in human history. The healthiest women and men in the world listening to me today require daily infrared saunas just to keep out those things we spoke about earlier. Even if you eat like I'm telling you, exercise like I'm telling you, we still pick it up, being on the cesspool planet.